All right, the second thing that people get wrapped up in as far as identity and worth and value is they try to be successful. If only I could be good enough at whatever that may be. Whatever success means to you. Have enough money, have enough stuff, being the best boss, being the best therapist, being the best whatever. Softball player, baseball player, football player, the most athletic. Whatever that means, losing the amount of weight, being a certain person, the best pastor. We all think that somehow if we could just reach some moniker, some point of success up there, then we would have value and worth. If I just had that car, if I just had whatever. The same holds true that I said in the last video that guess what? There are no conditions of worth to meet. Whether you drive a Maserati, a Lamborghini, or you drive a 2005 Mazda that my son calls ghetto, you have the same value and worth as anybody else in this world. That God loves you and you're here for a purpose, and it doesn't matter how quote-unquote successful you are. You have value and you have worth. It doesn't matter what kind of peach. You're the best one ever. You still have value and worth. Because guess what people do? They tell themselves, hey, if I make a mistake, what people tend to do is feel shameful. Shame is there's something wrong with me. They don't feel guilty. They feel shameful. When we make a mistake, we need to feel guilty. Guilt is, hey, I made a mistake. I raise my hand and I say, yep, that was me. I could have done that better. I could have done that in a better way. Made a mistake there. I'll have to think about that differently next time. That was my fault. I'm guilty. I made a mistake. Where shame says, not just I made a mistake, I am a mistake. There's something inherently wrong and bad and terrible and awful about me, because if I was just good enough, successful enough, I wouldn't have made that mistake. And shame comes upon us. And the reality is grace is a great healer for that shame, because grace says there are no more conditions of worth to meet. There's nothing you can do to be successful to make sure that you're loved. Again, God loves you and the universe takes care of you just as you are. Do you make mistakes? Of course, we all make mistakes. I made one today, I'll make them tomorrow, I'll mess it up somehow. The reality is my value and worth doesn't change when I make mistakes. And when I make mistakes, I don't need to look at myself and say, oh, what is wrong with you, Clint? There's something inherently bad and awful with you. Now, I used to think like that. I sure have. And at times I still catch myself thinking like that. What's wrong with you? Man, you're so stupid. You're an idiot. And the reality is that's shame talking. That shame is that nasty monster that when you want to walk through the door to face your fears, it says, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you won't be able to do that. Oh, no way. And the reality is you're loved. You can do that. That beyond your fears are everything you've ever dreamed in your life. And grace is the great healer from this, because if you can just love yourself, the greatest commandment says, love God, love others as you love yourself. If you can begin to understand how to love yourself, to take care of yourself, to give yourself that kind of grace that says, hey, I made mistakes. Yes, I'm guilty, but man, I am not shameful. I can try again. I can do it again. I can try more. I need to step back and take care of myself. I need to set limits and boundaries and have margin in my life. Then and only then will I be able to love others and find acceptance and beauty and find out there are no conditions of worth to meet in this world except to love other people and to have compassion on them. So that's the second one. Don't worry about your successes. Just do the best you can. Know that you're loved. Trust that. Stop shaming yourself and telling yourself how awful you are. Start being contemplative. Catching yourself in those moments when you say, oh, this is awful. This always happens to me. I never can. I'm stupid. I'm this. And start changing those thoughts. Philippians 4:8 says, think on things that are good, lovely, pure, holy. And it's only then, only when you think on those things, that you're lovable and caring and grace-filled and God loves you and things have worked out. And you can go back and say, yeah, that worked out for me last year. This time last year, this didn't happen, and this happened, and that worked out. And man, I always get taken care of. It's then and only then, in Philippians 4:8, the Message version says, God will work you into his most excellent harmonies. But that can only be done by changing how you think, because if you change how you think, it changes how you feel, and your feelings will always lead to actions. Because if you think those nasty thoughts, you feel terrible, you feel awful, you feel depressed. You don't get up and get moving. You don't do things for yourself. You tell yourself how awful it's going to be. You don't try new things. And this shame cycle just keeps going. Don't get out. Don't get in that shame cycle. Talk about that in the next video. Namaste.